Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can I begin by, from this side, remembering Parakura Horomia, who, great sadness for us this 3 years that his long and valued contribution came to an end with his death. Mr Speaker, can I also acknowledge you? Can I add my good wishes to those of other MPs, to those of us who are retiring? Can I add my thanks to all of the staff around Parliament? And can I make special mention of our own staff, including our out-of-Parliament staff, who I know work so hard for us. Mr Speaker, Bill English said at a time when his MPs' heads were down over his faux pas in respect of unopened emails as they madly checked their Blackberries for the latest polls, Mr English said that we had no prospect for our country of a change of government. A very depressing thought for a lot of New Zealanders if he was right. Unfortunately, as he said that, we had a new poll out. Mr Speaker, that poll showed National down 5, the Labour Party up 6.5%, and 11.5% closing of the two-party gap. But unfortunately, whilst all of his colleagues were actually on their mobile devices checking that, Bill English missed it. We shouldn't be surprised that Mr 21% did that. If it was as Mr English would have the New Zealand public believe, why is it that the National Party are doing all these shonky deals, trying to resurrect the ACT Party yet again after David Garrett passport fraud, after Rodney Hyde, the man who was busted for his perks, after having been the self-proclaimed perk buster, after the disasters with Don Brash, and now after the disasters with John Banks, they still think that after that conviction for fraud they should tell the people of Epsom to elect an ACT candidate. Is that because they're confident that the election's already in the bag? No, it's not. Similarly, Mr Dunn, who has never denied that he leaked the Kitteridge report, the National Party is trying to shoehorn him back into the Ohario Belmont seat. Mr Speaker, it ain't all over. We are pleased on this side that this is going to be an election which will be a contest of ideas of how to improve our country. Mr Speaker, we know that this is going to be a close contest because there's already recognition that the Labour Party has a positive, comprehensive set of policies to upgrade our economy, to make other improvements, and all our positive policies are costed. Our alternative budget is already out there, and we're already past this inane assertion of the National Party that we're tax and spend irresponsible people, because we've shown that we reduce net debt as fast, in fact a little bit faster than the National Party alternative. Our fiscal plan is out there and no one has shot a hole in it. It is credible. The commentators accept that, Mr Speaker, and we can get on and have a debate about policy. Mr Speaker, a couple of elections ago, the National Party campaigned on a brighter future for all New Zealanders. That was their catchphrase. They've given up on that because so patently untrue has that slogan become in respect of the way in which they govern for the few. And their slogan this year, Mr Speaker, is working for New Zealanders. Well, we on this side will be highlighting what New Zealanders know is actually they're not working for all New Zealanders, they're working for some New Zealanders. So who is it that the National Party is really working for? Well, it's pretty obvious. In tax terms, 40% of their income tax cuts went to the top 10% of income earners. That's pretty clear that they're not governing for the vast majority of New Zealanders when it comes to tax policy. Mr Speaker, who is it that they're working for in housing? Well, they're certainly not working for first home buyers. Thousands of first home buyers being shut out. They're working for the speculators. They refuse to close the tax loopholes. They refuse to stop overseas speculators. They won't build any more houses, and as a consequence we've got the lowest home ownership rates in over 50 years and still dropping. So they're not working for first home buyers, They're working for the speculators, for the people who own multiple homes. What about children? What about children? We all know we've got rising child poverty in New Zealand. It's an absolute disgrace that the government's budget package in respect of lifting the incomes of children excludes the poorest children. Excludes the poorest children in New Zealand. It does. It excludes them because they don't care about it. They are not governing in the interests of the majority of New Zealanders. We all know that when the gaps get as wide as they are getting in New Zealand, we all suffer, but especially those at the bottom suffer. And I think it says a lot in respect of this government that their income support package for families in this year's budget did nothing for the poorest children in New Zealand and further widened the gaps. Mr. Speaker, what are they doing in respect of power companies? Who are they working for there? Who's getting the brighter future? Well, wait, you know, we're not going to nationalise, but we're certainly not going to sell. We're certainly not going to sell the power companies to the 2% of New Zealanders who bought shares under this government. 2% of New Zealanders bought shares in their asset sales. The other 90%, well, National wasn't, 98%, National wasn't working for them. They're not working for the people who pay ever higher power prices. And we're certainly on this side of the House going to do something about that when we stop the privatisation of the value of our rivers by giving people a decrease in their power bills. Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party is promoting positive policies. Vote positive is our campaign slogan, and if people vote positive, they will vote Labour. You know, we've had a doubling of our membership. We've had a doubling of our membership. We've got a better on-ground presence than we have had for decades, Mr. Speaker. Decades, and our membership continues to grow. Why? Because people like the Labour alternative. It's positive. Our policies, sir, our economic policies, they're designed to break this low-value, low-wage economy that we've now got in New Zealand under National. We've increased policies that will increase the amount of capital that we save in society, like the Australians have done forever. One of the reasons why they've got higher wages, we're going to have a universal KiwiSaver scheme. Everyone will have a nest egg in retirement and the economy will be stronger. Then our pro-growth tax reform policies, they tax capital gains. That pushes investment away from speculation, pumping up residential rental house prices, and it pushes that money into the productive economy and jobs, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in addition to that, the capital gains tax, of course, makes it fairer. 60% of the capital gains tax in America is paid by the top 1%. It's the same in Canada. It's the same in Canada. 60% of the capital gains tax in Australia is paid by people on incomes over $180,000 a year. It will be the same in New Zealand. It's a very fair tax because at the moment those people pay lower rates of tax than middle-income New Zealanders. Mr. Speaker, we then have research and development tax credits, encouraging our economy to become more innovative. We have accelerated depreciation to encourage investment in forestry jobs instead of exporting those raw logs. Our policies, in addition, they go further than industry development, than improving the economy and balancing the budget. We're going to make life easier to families. Our Best Start package reaches all families with children who are on an income of under $150,000 per annum. We don't exclude the poorest families like National. Our New Zealand power policy will reduce electricity bills. We're going to build 100,000 new affordable homes, Mr. Speaker. This is the positive alternative that is available under Labour at this election. We are pleased to be through this ridiculous tax and spend narrative that National tries to put on us. We ran the last 9 budget surpluses this country has seen, and we will run one next year, Mr. Speaker. Vote positive, party vote Labour.
For the Honourable Anne Colley.